What's up, guys? We on Ditmars at 73rd Street. So a lot of people ask me about New York, right? And ask me about the prices in New York. So I was at the grocery store today and I heard one of the guys were talking about different states that you could live in and stuff like that. I want to add on to what he was saying. It depends on the sales tax of the state. If you work at, let's say you work in New York and you're making enough money in New York, but if you go to another state, their income is lower than the sales. It depends on the sales tax that you live in. So let's say if I live in Connecticut and I work in New York, I could still work in New York and live in Connecticut though, because the sales taxes is higher in Connecticut than New York. You know what I'm saying? Like I was saying, yeah. So the sales taxes are like, if I live in Connecticut and I work in New York, the sales taxes is higher in New York than Connecticut, because Connecticut, you could live in Connecticut, but you can't work in Connecticut because the jobs in Connecticut are lower than New York. So a lot of police officers, they live in Pennsylvania and they work in Pennsylvania and they come to New York to work, because the sales taxes in Pennsylvania is not that good. The living expense is not that good. If you live in Philadelphia, you're not going to get jobs out there because the job system is not that great in Philadelphia than New York. So a lot of people ended up moving back to New York because New York, their tax rate is higher than a certain sales tax rate. So you talk about tax cuts, you talk about all those stuff like that. But if you move to different states, you're not gonna get the higher sales tax that you're getting in New York. You know what I'm saying? So my advice to people: stay in New York. If you want to move, you could move to a state and come to New York to work. But if you do the post office and you apply for a post office job in another state, you're not gonna get that. You're not gonna get the higher income that you're making. You're not gonna get that minimum wage that you're making in New York. So just to let you know, if you move to another state, you're not gonna pick up. If you transfer to another state, your family members just convince you to move to Pennsylvania and all that stuff. I tell you, don't listen to what they say, because at the end of the day, you're gonna know. Listen, you're gonna know that I'm right. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna know that I'm right, because you're listening to people, to what they're saying, but what they're saying doesn't make any sense to you. So I suggest to people, don't follow in your family footsteps. Lead your own self. So let me tell you something about Firefest Production Management International. Firefest Production Management International is an entrepreneurial film company.